On this episode of Blending Bourbon, be sure to join Dixon Dedman and myself, David Mark Young, as we discuss the impact of social media influencers on the whiskey industry with special guest, that one dude, Ryan.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome to another episode of the Blending Bourbon podcast, sponsored by Golden Sheaf. My name is Dixon Dedman of 2XO Whiskey. I am joined, as always, by the pride of Omaha and formerly the body double of Justin Bieber, Mr. Golden Sheaf himself, David Mark Young. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dixon
Is it Mr.
Dedman.
Young or Mr. Mark Young? Do you have a hyphenated last name, or are you so proud of all your names you don't know which one to go with?
I don't even use all my names. I think
more?
it's a hyphenated first name. Well, yeah, there's the third Earl to Yorkshire, and no, it's just Mark is my middle name.
Oh,
David Mark. It's not Mark Young. People call me Mark sometimes. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah. How the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I'm home. I'm here. I'm good. I'm
glad
really
you
good.
are.
I thought I was going to be stuck in Boston, and I'm really glad that didn't happen, because it's cold as shit up there, and they got a bunch of snow, and
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be getting out of there anytime soon. So it's sunny, like 50 something degrees outside. So I am in a good place.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. Always good to see your face. This is my favorite time of the week when you get to talk with Dixon Dedman and get that fantastic introduction. Always this is a good ego boost. This is about the time of the week that my I start to get a little discouraged. This whiskey game starts to kick me in the what did Ryan Cecil say? Kick you in the dick. You get kicked in the dick constantly.
It happens.
It happens, yeah. Well, you and I, we talk about all the things, right? We talk about all the whiskey industry things, our challenges, our pivots, our hurdles, roadblocks, problem solving. Interesting to us. One of the things that's come up recently is social media and influencers and sort of that impact on brands and, do you leverage social media? I know brands that don't. I can give you my take, my opinion, but we had a little bit of a debate. I think we agree. We also disagree. We also agree to disagree, but why not bring out one of the most up and coming, I guess, whiskey influencers that's out there? We were fortunate enough to get Ryan Mills. Ryan, that dude, Ryan. So Ryan, welcome to the Blending Bourbon podcast with Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Actually,
we're happy to have you here.
It's the Blending Bourbon podcast with Dixon Mark Dedman and David Mark Young. I'm gonna be
just add everybody's name into it now.
Yeah,
at this point.
I'm going to be Dixon Mark Dedman for the rest of the day.
We just blended the names together. That's the glory of blending.
Now you're blending bourbons and names.
And names, yeah, absolutely.
you go.
Welcome, Ryan.
What's
How you doing
up?
today?
How are you guys? I'm good myself. How are you guys doing?
All fantastic here. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know that it gets any better.
We don't need to do the David Mark Young pity party. Let's just talk to you.
He's tired. We get
somebody finally listened. We'll turn this into another therapy session.
He makes whiskey and he's beautiful.
There you go.
I feel so sorry for him.
Jeez. Well, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we, like I said, Dixon and I had a bit of a, great conversation. We always have some great conversations, but a little bit of kind of debate. And we recently had on a viewer, a subscriber, a fan, if you will, which is nice. That episode will be airing in the future. We had threatened to bring an audience member on, and we did, and hopefully it was as enjoyable of an experience for him as it was for us. But now to kind of take a new spin on things, look at things through a new lens. Personally, I'm a big social media advocate. I love social media. I mean, number one, it's next to, you can get more with less, right? You're not paying for billboard space or to get cars wrapped or channel time on TV, commercials. And so there's a lot of, if you leverage it properly, and I aspire to someday when I grow up be a social media influencer myself. I want folks to recognize whiskeys that are blended by yours truly, David Mark Young, and when they see that, they associate David Mark Young whiskeys with good quality premium brands and so forth. But anyway, we wanted to bring you on and stir things up a little bit. You look like, with that kind of beard, we figured you could get a little controversial.
Maybe. I don't know. I like to say some off the wall things, but I don't know if I get too controversial.
Yeah. Big fan, by the way. I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Seems like you're doing something right. But honestly,
I don't know what it is.
What the hell are you doing? Yeah, that's the thing.
So you want to know the story behind it all? Here's the funny part. I've been drinking whiskey since I was 21 years old.
Wink, wink.
And I've been really deep into the artistry, the science of it all over the past, I would say 10, 12 years, if I'm doing the math right. The thing about it is I started this kind of online social media thing as kind of a tongue in cheek, right? Biting my thumb at the quote unquote bourbon or whiskey influencer out there. Honestly, I hate the term, but I just started doing it just to be like, hey, I don't like all these fake notes that people pull out of whiskey. I don't like to sit here and go, I smell watermelon rind and some random flower that nobody's ever heard of. Mm-hmm. So jokingly enough, I started slamming bottles in front of a camera. That's literally it. Slam it, look deadpan into the camera, no reaction whatsoever. Pour it. If it goes everywhere, even better, because it's hilarious at that point. And then sip it and say, with my facial reaction, exactly what I enjoyed. The one thing that I can't stand is I do tastings, right? For fun. This is all about fun. And the one thing I hate is when people give those notes and all of a sudden everybody in the room starts to taste those things. Right. So my reaction was based solely on, is it good? Is it not good? Right? Yes, no, maybe, okay. Oh my God, this is horrible. Yes, I would buy 80 million of these.
Yeah.
And for some strange reason, people enjoyed it. So we just keep it going. It's like the most watched thing that I have that I actually post. So why not?
It's unique. That's interesting. That's one of the things that Dixon and I talked about, or, Dixon had described the different types of tasters. There's the, those that describe and those that, get into it's a full body effect. And, then there's the, who'd you say it was?
No, I think there's three. I mean, there's
three.
You got the yes or no, like the good or bad. You got the select few that can articulate what they taste. They really, have the ability to, and half the time it's bullshit, but half, they can say, oh, I get this, I get that, I get that, And then the people I really enjoy are the, they have that like more emotional attachment to their sensory ability. So it reminds them of something like an experience, or it takes them somewhere. It's, in all the tastings I do and used to do at the end and stuff, like those are the people I enjoy most. Like they would come up with the most random ass obscure things. Like they would taste a whiskey and be like, this reminds me of when I used to go horseback riding at this place that my grandparents used to take us. And, it's like, no one can follow you there, but you've clearly made this great, connection with the whiskey. And I always feel like I usually can put people in one of those three buckets by
Yeah.
pouring them one thing. Like you just see how they react. But
The reaction to it. I love, honestly, I love having conversations with people. That's where this all started too. My wife was like, "Hey, you got to stop talking to me about this. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore." Like, I get it. I get what bourbon is. I get what Scotch whiskey is. I know it. Matter of fact, she could probably take some of these like W sets or the bourbon steward certification without even, doing the course. She's like, you got to find a better outlet. So we started doing that, and having the engagement with whiskey drinkers is mainly the thing. I love having those three different types of people come up to me. They're like, look, all I know is that it tastes good. And I'm like, great. And then I get the people, oh, I can pick apart potpourri scents out of this, Highland Scotch. And I'm like, that's cool too. Let's break it down. And then the other people that my favorite people are actually the sensory people, the ones that will try something. They're like, oh my God, this tastes like, it reminds me of my grandmother's baked apple pie.
right.
Or it reminds me of one day I opened up my aunt's closet and just that overwhelming scent of mothballs. Like that, it's cool because then you get to sit there and kind of break that down and have that conversation with them, and then you start getting the malt balls and the library.
I did a tasting.
I think it's great.
And it was this crazy. They paid a stupid amount of money, and like the second thing in the tasting was Pappy 23, poured them all Pappy 23. And these guys are like kind of hemming and hawing, and you could tell like they really want to be like, this is the greatest thing ever. And nobody was feeling it. And I was like, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the back of my parents' garage when I was growing up. It was kind of this like wet, musty corner. And I was like, I'm in that place. Like I am right back there. There was an old desk next to it. And, and people are like, yeah, this is like the inside of a wet piece of wood after 23 years. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. Sorry. That's what I got.
Right.
I'm being honest. To your point, like that whole, your whiskey, what do you call it? Whiskey slam or,
The actual dealing, we call it a slams and sips. It's just something that we kind of coined just to give it a name.
Yeah, I did this stupid thing, not stupid because people still ask me to do it, but I did this crazy thing during COVID called, whiskey in a box. And I mean, it was just, I was trying to, it was the same thing. Like I had nothing to do. I needed to I needed an outlet. Yeah. And I would just have somebody pour a whiskey in a glass, and then I would have them cover the bottle with a box, and I would talk through what I was tasting and smelling and then try to guess what it was, and then lift up the box and reveal it. And I was oftentimes wrong, but usually pretty close. And now, I mean, people are they are copycatting that, which is awesome. It's fun. And to do it blind is, you take all everything out of it. You have no idea what's in that glass. Like it's,
oh, heck yeah. Dude, that's the number one thing I love doing. Like my biggest thing is kind of bucking the status quo. Again, this all started because I was kind of biting my thumb at the quote unquote whiskey influencer or bourbon influencer that was out there. Doing blinds, we get people all the time that are like, hey, I see you have George T. Stagg up there on the shelf. And I'm like, yeah, you want a pour of it? And they're like, what do you mean? Do I want a pour of it? I'm like, you want to drink it? They're like, oh my God, it's so good. And it's so pricey and da, 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 da. I'm like, look, I got that for the right price. And you can have as much that's all of this. You can have any of this that you want behind me. But what I love doing is saying, I'm going to pour you the George T. Stagg, but I'm also going to pour you a couple of other things. You're not going to know what they are. I'm going to bring you the glasses and you tell me which one you enjoy the most. And then they sip each one and they go, oh, I like this. And you're like, yeah, that's a $50 bottle out of Indiana.
Right.
And they're like, what? That's not the George. I'm like, no, it's not George T. Stagg. Not saying anything bad about it, but doing it blind, it really opens people's eyes.
It's a game
Yeah.
changer. It's a game
No,
changer.
absolutely.
That was my favorite thing to do at tastings with people and we used to do it. Basically what I would do is I give them 3 options, right? And so your options were, I can tell you what it is and then we taste it. We can taste it, we can talk about it, and then I'll tell you what it is. Or we can taste all 5 or 6 of these. We could talk about which ones we like the best, and then we do the big reveal of all of them at the end.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I could do the same flight with each of those and how different the responses were based on when they found out what they were drinking.
Right.
It's nuts how if they don't know and you pour them 6 things and there's a Van Winkle in there and there's a Stag in there and there's a, whatever. And at the end of it, they're like, I like number 4. Well, that's just a Four Roses private selection barrel pick I did, but they're like, this is better than everything. And it's like, then they find out that they, it's like, oh shit, It's kind of fun. Sorry,
Exactly.
David, you had once again, we've gone off topic.
That's what we do.
Get us back on.
Get us back. Yeah, reel it in. Zzz. So Ryan, I checked recently. You've got 30,000 ish followers. Is that correct?
Over on Instagram, yeah.
Over on Instagram, yeah. And so on TikTok, you spend a great deal of time on TikTok.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead,
You
sorry.
just call
What do you have?
Tic
What do you-
Tac. I'm pretty sure you said Tic Tac.
Tic-tac.
TikTok and on Instagram, yeah. What in Facebook? What kind of followers do you have on TikTok, or how many followers do you have on TikTok?
The last time I checked, we were at 105.8, I believe, as of last night.
Good Lord.
105.8 thousand, sorry. TikTok is where, like,
If it was
look, if we're-
105.8, it's like, how's there a 0.8 person?
there's a 0.8 person. We don't know how it happened,
Yeah.
but there was an accident
Only
somewhere.
4/5 of that person follows you.
Oh, there's a joke for somebody on TikTok for that, but I'm gonna keep it to myself. Let him make that joke. I'm not making that joke. But no, there's a good amount of people on TikTok that are wanting to learn more about whiskey. They love to kind of go over things. The way that I look at TikTok is like a product page is essentially what it is. It's if you want to learn about something, you're going to go to TikTok because it's quick, it's easy, 30 seconds to a minute at most, and you're going to learn something cool and new. So people that want to learn about whiskey go over to TikTok. They see a page like mine or some of the other creators, I guess the best way to say it. And they can learn some really cool things. So yeah,
All right.
that and YouTube Shorts.
I have a million questions for you, Ryan, because this just sparked a bunch.
Hopefully I have a million answers.
Here it goes.
So first, when you got into this, like got going on this, and was this more like this is self-expression? Like I'm just this. These are my opinions. This is. I'm just, this is my take, and I'm trying to give it to you in a way that is humorous and might bring you joy. It's a distraction, and I'm not, but is this like, I'm an authority. I am, what I say is gospel. If I check mark this, then you should buy it. And if I don't like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fun.
Right.
It's like a weird world because you have people that they work so hard to make you think that their
They do.
opinion is
Yeah.
What they say is the law.
So this may get me a little bit flamed in the creator space.
don't sweat
I've-
it because only
I've
like
never-
we have like 9 listeners.
No, last week you had 14. I,
Yeah, but
I,
yeah, we pissed them
I,
off. The
I
five
listened.
went-
I heard.
Lose
Five
followers. We haven't had enough followers to actually start losing yet.
No, but here's the fun thing. I got into this space originally was taking pictures of the different scotches and bourbons and just overall whiskeys and cigars that I just enjoyed kind of smoking and drinking and doing whatever. This is what I'm drinking today. Kind of a, how do I put it? Like
It's
a
like a diary.
board.
It's like an online
Yeah,
diary. It's like
exactly.
yeah.
For some reason, people enjoyed it. Here's the fun part about me. I This is going to sound weird coming out of my mouth because of who I am, but like I want to be as humble as humanly possible. I don't want to be an authority. I never consider myself an expert. I don't think there is such thing as an expert. Like there's nobody out there that knows everything about everything. Even some of the great master distillers hate being called master distillers. Some of the great master blenders hate being called master blenders. I never want to be the authority on anything, but what I do want is to have an open door kind of social media presence to where if you want to talk whiskey, let's talk whiskey. Like, let's talk about all the great things about it. I'm going to share with you my opinion on something. And if you like that, then great. I want to hear what you have to say about it. Like,
Right.
I don't like very big brands. I don't like very specific and very big brands coming out of Kentucky. That doesn't mean you're supposed to not like them too. It just means that we have a difference of opinion, but let's talk about why we don't like them. I don't like it because it's too nutty. You don't like this because it's too cherry. So, we kind of can go back and forth, but no, I'd never consider myself an authority on anything. If you think that our palates align and you see that I like something, then go out and grab it. Why not? But I want to try new things, all the new things,
Yeah. Yeah. So do I. I want to try all the things.
right? So hopefully that answered the question.
No, I mean when this is part of the conversation that David, Mark, and I were having earlier. When I should say when we launched Kentucky Owl and the build up to Kentucky Owl, and I think I started the Facebook page in like 2012 ish. We didn't release any product until 2014, but I started, and we spent, I kid you not, $0 on marketing. Zero. Facebook page, free Facebook page. I guess we did buy the website rights. Sherry built the website. We had a mailing list. I don't know that we ever actually sent anything on the mailing list, but we did everything through Facebook. Facebook was king then, and whatever, and we did everything that way. But at that point, and through the first part of it, like social media was like it was a way to get things out there.
Yeah.
It was a way to talk about what you were doing, and you post pictures and people would like them and ask questions or whatever. And I don't really know when this happened. It was several years later when all of a sudden everybody figured out that I can use social media to like become something. Like I can
Yeah.
use it to all I have to do is create, like generate enough followers to be considered an authority of anything, of any
Right.
topic, or I can just post enough pictures of myself and people think I'm really rich and so they follow me, and then all of a sudden fancy brands start sending me clothes, so I'll post pictures of myself wearing the clothes, and then and
Oh yeah.
and that's it became it just in my short whatever 10 11 12 years in this, like social media was kind of a way to get your message out there. Now all of a sudden it's a whole thing that your team has to manage. It's
Oh
like a
yeah.
whole thing that you have to get the right people samples, and you have to massage them. And if you're in town, you got to take them out to dinner. And like, that's, and there's a part of it. It's kind of like, okay, who is this guy really? Like, is this guy just like a fun, cool guy that likes whiskey, and he's it's his take on stuff? Or is this a person who considers themselves like the gatekeeper of whether or
Ooh.
not you when when
Right.
I when I started, the gatekeeper was really, there were two, but for American whiskey, it was Whiskey Advocate. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a printed
Yeah.
score in Whiskey Advocate, like that
Oh
that
yeah.
that kind of, and people now, it's like, who reads whiskey? Don't tell Shankin I said this, but like, who reads Whiskey Advocate, but it's like, can you get these people with 30, 40, 50, 100,000 followers to, like, you send them a bottle and they post something on it, it's like, needle moved. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
So
it's such a different, it's crazy.
it is. And I think that there are definitely, don't get me wrong, there are definitely 112%, the maths, people out there that are just doing this to try to be an authority. They're trying to be somebody that's like, if you want to know anything about whiskey, you come to me. Like,
Right.
really, dude? Like, we don't need to go to anybody. Like, I follow hundreds of people on multiple platforms that I like their take on things. I like their opinion. I like maybe their brand. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of quote unquote authority on different types of whiskey, right? Bourbon, rye whiskey, you name it. I never want to be at that stage where somebody is like, whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong. If people say it to me, I'm like, okay, calm down. I'm just a dude that enjoys drinking whiskey and talking whiskey with people, smoking cigars, doing what, like, if a brand reaches out to me, great. What can we do? Like, if you want to send me a bottle for review, let's review it, right? It may take a while. I mean, I don't know why, but I have a whole bunch of bottles sitting over here for review. So, like, I don't want to be somebody's, I'm trying not to say names here. I don't want to be anybody's like number one authority. I think everybody on the face of the planet should be, diving into multiple people. And then the second thing to that is social media is wild. Like, it's to I think it has to do with a lot of the e economy, right? There's e-premise bottle shops now. There's ways of making money for a lot of people, not just through like Uber and you're posting a picture of something. I can sell glasses and different things that I find on Amazon now. Somebody says to me, Dixon Deadman uses this pipette to do his blending. And I'm like, what is that? Let me go onto Amazon and buy it. You know what I'm saying? So there's people that help push and pull that needle back and forth. It's wild. And by the way, I never think to myself, hey, if I do this review on something over here, 2XO, we'll say, if I do this review on 2XO, we're going to sell, $20,000 worth of liquor. Most of the time I'm like, if this is good, this is good. Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah,
What's
I'll,
the
I'll
name
send you a
brand of that
hoodie.
pipe
I'll
it?
send you a hoodie.
Well, the first time I tried it was on a podcast, so I'm not gonna go any further than that. But we could talk about it later.
No, I mean, it's just funny. It's like this guy, I see it. I saw it at the gym, and he's like, I've known this guy forever, and he was like, I was so excited. I was at the liquor barn, and they had the bottle, your Phoenix blend, and it's like, I gotta pour for like, I don't know, because they do it for crazy, like $2.50 or something like that. He's like, Dixon, it was fine. I didn't love it. It was just kind of like, he was like, I like spice. I like a big finish. I like all the, you know, he's like, it didn't have it. And I was like, Eric, I cannot I can't thank you enough. Like, I cannot thank you enough for being honest with you. You're not blowing smoke. You're like being real. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we all should be. There are whiskeys that people freaking love. I don't
Yeah.
like them. They're not me. They're not, you know, and I've made whiskeys that people don't like. That's okay. That's totally fine.
Absolutely.
I'm not sitting here telling you that if I don't like it, it sucks.
Right.
Like, and that's like the influencer. That's the part of it that like I don't care for. I'm totally fine if somebody says, "Hey, you know what? It's too light. It doesn't hit the place I like. You know, whatever. You know, it's just not me." My problem with the world now is it's like, you know what? This sucks. Well, does it suck, or does it just not do for you what you wanted it to do?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it could be great for somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're rage farming.
Yeah, that's with most things, you know, we're all unique humans. And so, you know, I spent a brief time in the, you know, training for marathons and saw that space on, or, you know, that demographic or community on social media. And it was kind of the same thing. Like, if you're not doing this, then you suck, you know, or if you're not a runner, you know, if you're a cyclist, you suck, you know, and you know, all the things. But it boils down to the same thing. You know, what works for you? What diet works for you? What foods do you like? What whiskeys do you like? What, you know, clothes do you like? And people are just, but that's the problem with, you know, Kardashians comes to mind. You know, that you hear that name and then they've got like, you know, 500 trillion followers. And I don't know why people consume that and assume that they are the authority on certain things. Oh, I gotta have those shoes or the jewelry or that skin cream because so-and-so wore it, or, you know, and that's unfortunately
The way of the world.
It is. Yeah. There's, you know, you got your sheep, you got your, you know, your influencers, and the influencers are,
You keep saying the weirdest shit. Like,
you know, sheep, man. I mean, sheep, they're followers, lemmings. I mean, there's a lot of terms for it. So, yeah, you know, and that's the problem. I mean, this is an extreme example, but I'm going to throw it out there. You know, Hitler, for crying out loud, he was an influencer. Imagine if TikTok was around back during World War II. Oh, you know, the following he would have had.
It would be weaponized. No,
Yeah, absolutely.
this is in the creative space. There's definitely terms that a lot of people use, like rage farming. Rage farming is a big one, right? We all know, we all see it. I mean, it's been called out multiple times within social media that they try to put things, the algorithm tries to put things in front of you that either makes you happy, like very happy, or very sad, or very angry. They want an emotional response from the viewer, essentially. So what a lot of people do is they do the rage farming. They go, hey, we all know that you really like, and just take, for instance, Blanton's. We know that everybody goes out there and tries to grab a bottle of Blanton's. Well, Blanton sucks. And that gets people to go, wait, what? I have Blanton's and I like it. And I searched for years trying to find Blanton's, and I paid $150 for my Blanton's. And how dare you say it sucks? And guess what? Rage farming got you.
Right.
So, like, the one thing I don't necessarily like to ever say about a brand that it's bad. Like, for me, it's the number one term that I ever use is it's not my palate. If it's not my palate, I don't like it. But you may. You know, it goes a long way, especially with Texas brands, right? The Texas bourbon has that smokiness, the leatheriness to it. So a lot of people go, oh, that's a Texas whiskey. I'm never going to drink that. Well, It's because you haven't tried a lot of Texas whiskey, A, but B, it just may not be your palate, maybe somebody else's.
Right.
So, don't rage farm. I hate that.
Right. Yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it cracks me up, the question you get from people that want to get into whiskey. Where do I start? What's the and I just suggest something light, You know, it could be a Basil Hayden, it could be a Penelope, you know, light whiskey, or there's plenty of choices, but there's not one. The one thing that really steers me away from influencers or certain posts on social media is, you know, especially YouTube videos. This is the best bottle of bourbon ever, or the best bottle of bourbon for this year. And
My
Right.
10 best, my 5 best, my
right. And I get
I wish
that.
I could say I didn't do that.
You know, we've done blinds and had lineups, and you know, I'll pick my best or my favorite out of those 5. That doesn't mean that that's the best ever made. And, you know, in all fairness to every other, you know, just
Right.
229.15 thousand different types of whiskey that are out there. You know, nobody's ever lined them all up and said, okay, this is the best from beginning to end. And, but that's just it. That's the great thing about whiskey, is there are so many to choose from. And so if you don't like what you're drinking, go find something else and go, you know, track down kind of that flavor profile that does appeal to you.
Absolutely. That's if we had a sound effect, it'd be ding, 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 ding. Tell him what he's won. No, but a lot of people, especially at the end of the year, a lot of people go, hey, I want to know what Whiskey Advocate has to say. What's their top 100? And then they love to ask the question, and then they love to kind of crap on the top 10s, right? Yeah. Or they ask, I mean, every influencer has a top 10 list at this point, right? The only thing that I have is this stupid whiskey board. I have a whiskey leaderboard that I've been doing, and it's only because it's been requested so many darn times. And to me, I always like to tell people that is to my palate. It's not everybody. I'm not saying that this is the best thing I've had. This is only the best thing. These are the things that I've had this year. Yeah. And it could still be something that's been produced over the last 20 to 600 years. But if it's something that I'm doing a review on this year for you guys or for anybody out there, it's going up on the board. So,
yeah, I do like your leaderboard. I like the way that you approach that. It's
completely stolen.
Okay.
I stole it complete. It's completely stolen from Top Gear. It's the essence of it is from Top Gear. I love the old like Top Gear British car show. If you've never seen it.
So, Ryan, you mentioned cigars, and what's your take on cigars? You know, pairing cigars with whiskeys. So selfishly, we're developing a cigar blend. You know, so
nice.
I'm venturing into that side of things, and but trying to learn as much as I can as far as, you know, what cigar aficionados look for, what they seek in a cigar blend, and how that pairs. And so, what's your take on cigar blends and cigars, and why do they
exist?
Why do they exist? Yeah.
This is what I'll say. I love cigars. I live in Tampa, Florida, right? We are the cigar capital of I would say North America. I live in what is deemed as cigar cities. So there was no getting around enjoying a cigar or two. My grandfather smoked cigars my entire life until he passed. So cigars it's close, it's near and dear. Whiskey is something that I just really love. So this was a fun place to kind of come into, like pairing them together.
Right.
And one of my two favorite things to do is what I call deductive pairing. It's essentially saying my cigar has these notes in it. Either it's overly tannic, or it's got a little bit of that hay or farm room floor on it. It's got that muskiness. What can I pair it with? What whiskey also has similar traits that are essentially going to cancel themselves out?
Okay.
Because a musky, smoky cigar and a musky, smoky whiskey will create a sweet and dynamic kind of palate at that standpoint. So, like, one of my favorites is Ardbeg, because it's an Islay Scotch whiskey. It's peaty, it's smoky, it's got a little bit of that brine saltiness to it. So if I pair it with a full flavored stick or cigar, I can kind of cancel the smokiness, the bitterness out of the two, and it just turns into almost like you're drinking a Highland or a Speyside Scotch.
Oh, wow.
So for me, I tend to pair my cigars with a whiskey based on those similar attributes is essentially it. Cigars really go well with rum too, but I can't get into it. It's too sweet for me.
Yeah, rums are sweet. Yeah. So I'm sure there's been a time where you've had a stick or a cigar and paired it with a whiskey and they didn't cancel it out, or perhaps they even
Oh, it got worse. Yeah.
got worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. If you do, here's the thing, it's a balance between the two. If you have a very full-bodied cigar, take for instance, if you've ever had an opportunity, there is a very dark cigar made by Cohiba. It has a Buffalo Trace name on it. I don't know how far we can go with this, but that cigar is a punch in the mouth. It is full flavored, full smoke. It's dark. It's rich. It's very bitter and tannic. All right. Now, if you pair that with a very light whiskey by the same distillery, that's not going to go well with each other. You almost have to pair it with something that's rich and dark. And, give me a George T. Stagg with it, and it probably pairs very well. If you do a Weller 12, which is what everybody tells you to do with it,
Okay.
Enjoy the two together. But if you do like a special reserve, the cigar overpowers the whiskey, and then the whiskey just becomes water, essentially. So there's definitely times where you could pair the two together, and it just doesn't work out the way you want it to.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's good insight. Now I'm craving a cigar and some whiskey in Tampa.
Hey, come on down. We're always willing to do it. There's a bunch of really good places here. I just saw
are you in
Dixon
Tampa?
jump up. Yes. You were at a couple places in Tampa. I
Yeah.
missed you. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina when that happened.
Yeah. Do you go to Corona?
Oh, absolutely.
Tommy's my boy. Tommy's my
Tommy's the
man.
best.
Tommy is my man.
Tommy is one of the. So I go to Corona, and I can't. I'm Italian, so I'm Italian. My wife's Italian. Whenever we go there, I can't not say hi. Like, I'd feel rude if I don't say hi. So whenever I'm over there, I shoot him a text. Hey, I'm just here just to say hi. There is no big deal. I'm not looking to get anything from it. I'm not looking to, hey, Tommy, what's up? But every time I do it, Tommy comes out. We sit there and have a chat about, whiskey, the different types of things he's bringing in. And truthfully, you want to talk about authority. If Tommy says something's good, it's fucking good. Like,
Dude.
it's a good whiskey.
Let me tell you something. So Tommy. So I did a lot of stuff with in Tampa Bay Whiskey Society in the Kentucky Isle days, pre-COVID, 17, 18, 19. Got in, came down for a Christmas event. I think it was, and it was like they did a raffle for that event. They had it in St. Pete. And Tommy, Big Nate from Burns was there. Gosh, what's the guy?
Oh, there's probably everybody. There's probably
Yeah,
Wally was there.
Who's that?
Wally was there from Whiskey
always
Release.
Yeah, I spent that. Actually, I was at Wally's and what's his name? Master Distiller now at what's the whiskey that the Otterbucks guy did? And he was at Seagram's forever. Hung out with them at Wally's the other day. Old Elk. Old Elk.
Oh, Greg Metz.
Oh,
Yeah.
Greg Metz. Yeah.
Hey, Greg and I ended up that was with Wally, but back to
Never mind.
And I'll never remember the guy's name. He has this company, like, kind of, it's almost like a job hunter site, and he's just super cool guy. But this dude he's the guy that I think of all the time. That's like, I love whiskey. I know everything, and he's like, and I don't do social media. I'm not, he's like he's like that consumer that's not, I don't consume because I got a tip from a guy on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. He's just,
Right.
Anyway, long story short, Tommy put me through the ringer. I mean, he vetted me and then vetted me and then re-vetted me and double. So we launched 2XO. We go to Tampa. I go to Corona Cigar. Walk in. I hadn't seen him in a few years. I walk in. First account. Tommy's sitting there. I know the face. Don't know the name. Know the face. And I was like, oh gosh, we are not starting out with cupcake here. This is
This is not going to be an easy deal.
This is, this guy, he doesn't hold back. He tells you exactly what he thinks.
Oh, yeah.
He is, and I appreciate that, but it's also like, this is not, you're not walking into the store and somebody's going to be like, oh, we love this. We'll take, this guy.
Yeah.
So we do all the pleasantries. I pour Tommy some, some of the Phoenix blend, and it's like 11 o'clock. Tommy's smelling it, doing his thing. He goes silent, which is a big thing for Tommy to go silent, but he goes silent. He comes back. He's like, this is special. This is really special.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was moonwalking inside at that point. I was like, okay. I mean, this is Tommy's tough.
Oh,
By
yeah.
the time I left, Tommy had 3 pours. 3, he's like, can I get a little bit more of that before you leave? I was like, yeah, hell yeah, Tommy, whatever. And then that our next visit is Nate at Burns, who is equally as tough. Because he knows they know Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Is an amazing whiskey town. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
people know their stuff in Tampa.
Oh, that's I love just going around and meeting with people here in the area, because it is an absolute blast to sit down and talk with some of these guys. Whether it's Tommy, whether it's Trey over at Liquor Depot, or Joe over
Yes.
at over Gaspar's Winthrop Liquor. I mean, there's just an unbelievable amount of places here
I've got
in
a
Tampa.
t-shirt.
It's a great place to be, and then you can relax as well here.
I love
Well, guys, hey, hate to cut off this great conversation, but let's bring this episode to a wrap. Maybe we continue on another, but I mean, bottom line, influencers are going to influence, but they're not the authority. But perhaps Tommy in Tampa is the authority. So
He may be.
maybe
Probably.
Tommy is. Maybe we get Tommy on
I
the
listen to him.
podcast here. Ryan, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Definitely.
I was hoping you'd slam a glass down on the table at least before we wrap it up. There it is. All right.
Hey, let's get Ryan back on and do a very cigar centric episode.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, you up for that?
I'm always down.
Like
All
great cigar whiskey pairings kind of thing. Like,
We can do that. That'd be easy.
yeah, we should do that.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. Well, gentlemen, that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you again, Ryan. We'll see you out there. We'll keep watching. We'll stay in touch. Dixon Deadman, cheers to you. We'll see everybody next time. Don't forget to like, follow,
Appreciate it, Ryan.
share, subscribe, comment, all of those social media things. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.